Hi everybody and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you are new, I'm Corie. If you're returning, thank you so much as always for being here. Today's video is super fun because we're doing some thrift flips. It's a collaboration. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit. But for now, let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting. DIY number one. So I picked up this little watering can. It was $1.99 at the Goodwill. I was so excited to find this because I have been looking for little watering cans that weren't gonna cost, more than what I was willing to spend. So I cleaned it up really well with some rubbing alcohol, and now I'm coming in with a little makeup sponge and my Adirondack white chalk paint by Home Decor. And I am sure you've seen all kinds of different crafters do this, but essentially I am going to create a galvanized look. It was hard to tell here probably, but it was originally a dark green color with some black speckle, and it was cute, but I decided I wanted it galvanized. So I had done a really kind of patchy job, if you will, with the white, and now I was just showing you that I'm going to come in with my elephant chalk paint and doing the same thing. So I'm just using my little sponge, makeup sponge, and I am dabbing the paint all over. So I really want to make sure I'm covering all areas, but not with complete coverage, if you know what I mean. So now I'm showing you my Platinum by Folk Art, and squeezing some of that out on my parchment paper and doing exactly the same thing again with my makeup sponge. Now, one of my sweet subscribers recently informed me that when I had put some rust on something that was galvanized, she explained that galvanized metal actually does not rust, it oxidizes, and when it oxidizes it turns white. So if you notice around some of the seams and places where I otherwise would normally expect to see rust, I did allow the white to show through, and I was not real concerned with covering that up with the gray and the silver because I wanted it to have that look to it. So where you see the white showing through, that is intentional. It's my oxidation on my, or oxidization, whatever the word is supposed to be. That is intentional for this little watering can. And I love this so much. Let me know what you think. So cute. Hi again. Thank you so much for being here. To my returning subscribers, I absolutely adore you. You know I do. Thank you so much for the continued support. And if you are new, my name is Corie. My channel is Crafted by Corie. I love doing all different kinds of DIYs and crafts, always on a budget, always trying to have a lot of fun, always something new. So I hope you'll come back and visit with me again sometime soon. Today's video is super fun because it is a collaboration doing thrift flips with my sweet friend Sarah from Jujubee DIY. If you are not already familiar with Sarah, I hope you'll go and check out her channel. She is such a sweetheart and she's got such beautiful projects. She does a lot of farmhouse. You can see here she's just got some fantastic ideas. She's a wonderful painter, and please do go and see her video when you're done with this one and let her know that I sent you her way. All right, but for now, let's go ahead and get right back into the crafting. DIY number two. For this project, I have a tray that I picked up at the Goodwill as well. This one was $1.99. I thought it was a great price, great find. So cleaning this one up as well with some rubbing alcohol, and then I'm coming back in with my Home Decor chalk paint in white Adirondack. And I was really impressed actually with the coverage. I didn't think it was going to cover nearly as well with that image, as bright and colorful as it was. So I did end up going over it with a second coat of paint, but it was really doing well. So now I am pulling out my smart vinyl for my Cricut Joy because I do want to create a decal, and I was showing you the colors that I was thinking I wanted to use. It was a 4-pack, and I'm looking at these colors and I love the colors and they definitely complement each other. But I was thinking about the words that I wanted to put on here and how it might look in the 2 different colors, and maybe it would have been fine. But I'm like looking at it with paint. I'm like, well, maybe am I going to embellish it with paint? But the paint colors weren't matching up quite the same. And so ultimately, I just I went with black. So sorry, a little boring. But I went ahead into the Cricut Design app and I found something that was already designed that I wanted to use. But I wasn't sure how to split up the words. I don't know if it's possible to. I am a brand new Cricut user, so I don't know if I could have split this up. But I decided ultimately to just go in and find a similar font and recreate it myself. It was easy enough. So I just selected the font I wanted to use, I typed in the words, and then I went ahead and I ungrouped it, and I was able to move the little letters around to get them to where I wanted them and make it look the way I wanted it to look. Once I had it the way I wanted it, I went ahead and set up my Cricut. I just pulled it out, turned it on, fed in my vinyl. It measured it out to make sure I had enough for the design I was having it cut, and then it just cut it right out. I tucked the Joy away, and I've got my vinyl here, and I'm just going to show you peeling it away because I don't know, for me, I just find it completely satisfying to see the words be revealed like this. So I love weeding vinyl. It's like relaxing or something. I don't know. So once I had the majority of it peeled away, I just went ahead and weeded out those last few spots, and then the image was ready to apply to transfer tape. And I did cut the words apart because I am stacking them. I'm not using them side by side the way that they were cut. So making sure I'm using the backing to my transfer tape to protect the vinyl so it doesn't end up on my work surface. And now I am aligning it up with the second word. Now, when I did this, I realized after, like right here, that I was like, oh, I had centered that first word and I really needed to off-center it on the transfer tape. So I just added another little piece of transfer tape to catch the rest of that E that wasn't getting picked up. So it was all fine, worked out great. Set it down on the backing to my transfer tape again to protect it, grabbed my tray, which is completely dry now, and I am just going to go ahead and do my best to center it on my tray. Now I'm just eyeballing this, and then I'll come in a second. You'll see me with my measuring tape just checking to make sure that it's approximately in the center, and I actually did an okay job with the eyeballing. I didn't have to adjust it or anything. When you're doing this though, you just want to be careful that you don't press down on the vinyl, because once it sticks, it is stuck, right? So at least most of the time. There are some surfaces where you can peel it back up again, but the intention is to have it be permanent, right? So you could see my little T peeled up a little bit there because of the chalk paint and the surface on it. So I just went over it again with some parchment paper on top. And now I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is really boring. I've got a white tray with some black words. What am I going to do with this to make it more interesting? So I did decide that I was going to put a border around it. I came in with my paper tape or washi tape. I'm not sure what you call this. It's from the Dollar Tree, but I just created the border. I'm just using the edges of the tray to help me line up the tape nicely. And now I'm coming in and just eyeballing a thin line. I would say this is somewhere between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 inch. I did not measure it. I just eyeballed it again. And I was showing you the Cayman Blue folk art paint. This is an acrylic paint. Now, this is where I made my mistake. I wasn't thinking, you guys. If you want nice, crisp, clean lines, I learned a long time ago from Natalie at Design to the Nines that you could come in with your base paint color and go over your stencil before you apply your new color. So if I were to come in with my white and do what I'm doing right now any bleeding would be in white, which is also the same color as my base color, right? So you wouldn't see it, and it kind of seals it in, and then you can come over with your other color. You can also use Mod Podge for that. When I'm using chalk paint, I tend not to like to use Mod Podge because you can see the bleeds. They have a little bit of a different sheen than the paint surface. Hopefully that makes sense. So I definitely recommend using whatever paint color you've used. Now, if you are doing it on a wood surface with the wood grain, then you would want to use Mod Podge. Hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying. So once my top and bottom was dry, as you saw, I just made sure that was dry, and then I came back in and added the tape to the sides and did the same thing on the sides. Now, because I did not seal this the way I was describing, I did have some bleeding going on. And I decided I was okay with that. So what I decided to do was just to come in and distress it. So I've got some sandpaper that I've wrapped around my sanding block that has seen better days. So that just gave me a hand with getting this distressed. And while I was doing this, I probably should have let it dry a little bit longer than I did. It was dry to the touch, but I ended up smudging a little bit of the blue paint onto the white. So what I ended up doing was coming back with just the sandpaper itself, and well, I wiped it down here first to try to get all the little sand dust off and try to see what I could wipe away from the blue dust that was there. And then I'm just coming in here with the sandpaper, and unfortunately I went a little too crazy there, took off the white paint. Which is fine. I went back in and I just touched it up with my Adirondack white again and made it all better. And then it also gave me the opportunity to touch up any other areas that I had made a little bit blue. So let me know what you think. If you haven't already subscribed, I hope that you'll consider doing that and stay a while. See what I did there? So now it's normally time for a shout out, a timeout, but I don't have any projects to share with you this week. No shout outs. If you have interest in receiving a shout out, please send me an email at craftedbycorie.com at gmail.com, because I would love to share your work with everyone. DIY number 3. So I have a teacup for $1.99 that I also picked up at the Goodwill and got that all cleaned up. And then I'm going to show you in a second. There's a designer name on the bottom of it, and I don't know who this is, but maybe you do. I think her name was Lily Pulitzer. Yeah, Lily Pulitzer. I don't know who that is, but I thought that the teacup was super cute. Now, this is inspired by my sweet friend Annie from Indie Annie Jones. If you are not familiar with her, you are going to want to check out her channel because she is fantastic. She is so entertaining and fun, and she's just a complete sweetheart. So now I just showed you some wax melts that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and I also have a wick left over from another project that I am hot gluing into the bottom. I had tied it to the skewer to help keep it in place, and it's just sweeping the bottom of my teacup. So whatever size teacup you're using, you just want to measure your wick to fit. Once my wick was nice and secure at the bottom there, I dropped in the wax melts because I want to use these to scent my candle and also to give it a little bit of color. Now, this is a do as I say, not as I do. If you saw, I'm using my heat gun to melt the wax into my teacup. And then I was like, oh, it lit it on fire. Oh, maybe I can melt the wax that way. Yeah, bad idea, because these wicks in these Dollar Tree candles do not burn clean. You can see the black along the glass there. I went right back to the heat gun. Now, this is me being lazy and not wanting to take all of my camera equipment and lighting and all of that up to my kitchen to show you how I melt it on the stove. I recommend that you not use your heat gun the way that I am doing. First of all, it's going to take you a lot longer. And second of all, it's probably not the safest thing to be doing. So as I said, do as I say, not as I do. I'm just essentially trying to show you that I'm melting the wax to pour it into my teacup to create a new candle and mix it with the aroma melts. the wax melts. So I didn't have quite enough from that first candle, so I'm using some tapered candles to do the same thing. Now, if you do melt the wax on your stovetop, you're going to want to use a pot of water, maybe like 3 inches, 4 inches of water in the pot. Put your glass candle in that. Make sure that it's not, that the water isn't overflowing into the candle, depending on the height of your candle. And just be careful, because glass will shatter if it heats or cools too quickly. But this is how it looks when it's all cool and done. Snipped off the wick, and it's all set. Thank you so much, Annie, for the inspiration. Let me know what you think. DIY number 4. So $3.99, that is what I paid for this lamp at the Goodwill, and it is definitely country, but I feel like it's country from like 1980s. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was going to give this lamp a makeover. So I'm getting it all cleaned up. The felt on the bottom had seen better days as well, so I'm pulling that off, and I'll just sand off the bottom there, get that cleaned up. And so now I'm showing you my Dollar Tree Spackle and my Waverly chalk paint in the color Mineral. And I am going to add mineral to my spackle. This is also something that I saw Annie do recently from Indiana Jones. She actually used her spackle to create faux food. She had mixed paint in there and created the most delicious looking little desserts. They were yummy. But at any rate, you want to check her channel out and see what all she's got going on, as well as Sarah from Jujubee DIY. Remember to check out her channel as well. All my sweet friends, just love them. But I am just continuing to add paint and mixing it in with my spackle until I'm getting the consistency that I think I want. This color wasn't quite what I wanted, so I did add in some Java, which is like a dark chocolate color. So I'm just mixing it until I get it to the color that I had in mind, which ultimately ended up being like, it looked like frosting, like a milk chocolate frosting is what this ended up looking like. And it was about the consistency, ironically, of melted ice cream or warm honey, which is what I was attempting to get when I did some paint pouring a few weeks ago. So that was an interesting one, and debatable whether or not it was a success. But if you saw that video, you know what I'm talking about. But at any rate, I am pretty much slathering this on my lamp like I would if I were trying to ice a cake. Bear with me with this because it's going to look worse before it looks better. So you can see it looks kind of like melted ice cream is dripping all over my lamp at the moment. But what I ended up doing, and I'm sorry you can't really tell because of my camera angle, but I'm basically stippling it, and you'll be able to see better here and there. But you can see I'm just kind of stippling it. So I'm applying it, patting it all over, and what I ultimately ended up doing, because it was just a little too runny, you might not want to add quite as much paint, maybe have your consistency a little bit drier, but I'm coming in with my heat gun now. And what I did was I just continued to work with it. I kept adding heat, drying it as a little bit at a time, and then coming back in with my craft stick and stippling it some more. My intention was to have this look like stucco or stone or just some sort of pottery, if you will, like a rough pottery though. I've seen a lot of other crafters doing this in various ways. Sometimes I think they've used baking soda. I have no idea where I put my baking soda. I used it a while back for some bath bombs and bath salts. Yeah, I don't know where it is. But here it is all dry. I actually was really happy with the way it turned out. I did, after working with it for a while, I let it sit overnight, and so this is what it looked like the next day, and very happy. So now I'm taking some brown self-adhesive felt, And I traced the bottom of the lamp around on the paper side of the felt, cut that out, and I'm going to just check and make sure that it is the right shape for what I need and the right size. And once I had it to where I needed it, I peeled off the backing and applied it right to the bottom of my lamp. So just made sure that that was nice and secure, and now I've got a nice base on my lamp as well. I had thought about using cork paper for that, and then I couldn't find my cork paper either. So whatever works for you. And applying my shade. This was also from the Goodwill, and it was a nice, big, heavy metal shade. Let me know what you think. And here we are with the final reveal. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed the projects. If you did, please remember to give me a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know which project you enjoyed the most. It really does help me to get recognized on YouTube and helps me to grow. If you haven't already subscribed, I hope that you'll hit that button and come back and visit with me again soon. And please remember to go and see Sarah's video. Let her know I sent you. Give her some love. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.